It is 12:59. Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Titans were on the field for mandatory minicamp earlier today at St. Thomas Sports Park. We heard from head coach Mike Vrabel, quarterback Ryan Tannehill, and running back Derrick Henry, who was asked about the possibility of a new contract.
I mean, it's always good to get a promotion at your job. When you think so, you get a promotion. That's always good. But, yeah, man, I'm just trying to work through that. I mean, I'm currently still on a contract, and if that's what the future holds, then, yeah, I mean, that'd be great.
You can hear more from the King coming up right here on Blaine and Mickey. The team will be back on the field tomorrow to finish out minicamp. Browns quarterback Desean Watson spoke to the media for the first time since his introductory press conference in late March as a member of the Cleveland Browns and continues to deny all allegations of sexual assault, as well over 20 women have filed lawsuits against the former Houston Texan. The MLS has announced a new TV deal, 10 years with Apple TV, with a reported minimum of $250 million per year, a $2.5 billion deal with Apple TV with the MLS beginning in 2023. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Your day is better than Blaine's day. I'm going to go ahead and start it with that. Came in all sweaty. What's going on?
Yeah,
you got no HVAC at your house?
Yeah, man. The air kind of decided that my time is up. Air conditioning.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
So I felt like I was actually out there at practice. So I had to, they give you these windows. It's like, connecting your cable and all that crap. Oh, we'll be there between, and give you like a 5-hour window. Like, what do you think I just got all day to just, who the heck do they talking to? Like, really? People work? What did they think? People could just be around, sitting around, I'll just wait all the 5 hours. Yeah, it's just hilarious to me. So, yeah, and they still didn't make it in the window. Well, I'm still part of this window, but I don't think they're going to make it. They supposed to give me a call. So.
Oh, you're in the window right now?
Yeah, but I
got to leave if he calls? Like, yeah, I'll be there 20 minutes. Guys, I got to go. I got 20 minutes. See ya.
I just talked to my neighbor and
Lucas.
said, hey, told him what was up. So, you always got the backup plan to the backup plan. Yeah. Yeah, that was hilarious, man. You wake up at like 3 and be like, man, I'm on fire. What happened? I don't know. Go check the air. I can't breathe. For a brief minute, I thought I felt hot like, couldn't breathe like Mr. Burks. Yeah, that's probably how he felt.
He must have felt some kind of way today because he did not practice again.
Man.
Everybody was there. Everybody was there in some capacity.
Who all didn't I know you were there, and I was intending to go. Who all wasn't there? Wasn't practicing. I know Simmons, Burks, and that's all I could recall.
That was the big two.
Why Simmons not practicing? It's too hot outside. Nobody asked him, he wasn't available.
He was not available. We never got it.
No, Burks available.
Not available. No.
Did he even practice the couple times after the media wasn't available those other days?
He didn't practice the last week of OTAs, which was last week.
So I know he didn't practice the first day where the media was available, but he didn't practice at all that week, is what you're saying.
Now, that I don't know because they don't have to tell us, and They don't put out any video or anything. So I don't know. He just wasn't there when we were there last week. And the week before, he had done almost everything. He had done some and not done some.
Yeah.
And the other ones that we got to go
only
to.
as good as your last, practice.
Well, his last two, he hasn't been available.
Right. He was out there riding a bike today.
Yes.
Him, Big Jeff.
I never saw here Big Jeff. I didn't see them on a bike, but multiple people said that's where they were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw JG.
They have bikes in a certain spot, and I don't know. I was looking for Derrick Henry and didn't look at the bikes, but he and Burks are both out there. They just weren't practicing.
So we have no idea why they didn't practice. He just said they're unavailable, right? Yeah,
unavailable.
We should have had that as a question of guess of what his answer would be if somebody didn't practice, because he's used unavailable before. We're going to get him to try to say something else.
Well, we tried to play this game on Buck's show earlier.
Oh, did you? Today?
Yeah, either unavailable or just want to talk about the guys that were out there. That was going to be one of the two.
Oh.
See, I was shocking it wasn't. I just want to talk about the guys that are out there. He went multiple unavailables. I think he had a total of 3 unavailables.
I wish the
Talking
media
about those
say
two
you're
guys.
out of luck. You have no more unavailable.
You've used them all.
Yep, you
Yeah.
used them all. Burr, 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 burr. And, do something like that, make it a joke, but serious, and see what happens.
Yeah.
See if we can see the real Vrabel. I can say what I want to say.
What are synonyms for unavailable? We would just get a bunch of synonyms.
Synonyms.
Oh, man.
Yes.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
One of Simmons is, on the not want to get a fine list.
I'm just here so I don't
get.
get fined.
Yeah, so he maybe wants a deal. And, he's only played 3 years, so he still has another year and another year. So he's got 2 more years. So, man, and if they really want to they can get him for 3 or 4 more years with 2 franchise tags, but you don't want to do that because the cap number would be really high.
Yep.
And a guy with his kind of talent, I don't think you would want to go down that road. So, but it would be a smart play, and I would be all in. Everybody heard me when I said I was only going to go so far. We did it numerous days about how far I would go with A.J. Brown.
You're a tough GM, I know, but you're fair.
Well, no, but
You're
I'm
tough,
fair.
but fair, yeah.
But fair, right? Well, Simmons, I think you give a little bit more. Yeah, just because.
Lucas, timestamp it. 105:38.
Talent dictates.
Write it down.
And ability as well as availability. And I would put him in the top 5 D tackles, and he's rising up that chart. And right now he could be at 5, but I think potentially he could be 2. I don't know if he'll ever pass Aaron Donald, even if Aaron Donald starts going down the not as good road. It just he can't get paid like that anyway. So and if I could get him for $20 million right now, I'd hand him that contract and say, we are partners for life. 5-year 20 or whatever, 5-year 22, whatever it turns out to be, somewhere around that range. I know Aaron Donald got 31.5 or so per year, if you want to look at it that way. It was really a 3-year deal where it's guaranteed. So, he could be around the 80 to 100 million range on a 4-year deal if you want to give him an extension. That also gives you some cap relief, however you structure it.
This
down
year,
the
for
road.
sure, yeah.
No, that's been a huge conversation for Derrick Henry. Now, that's a different story for me because of what position he plays. So I'm not smart enough to know what kind of contract I could put to help us and help him, besides really redoing this 1 year, this year. Giving him upfront money, the same money that he was going to get, we'll just give it to him sooner.
Yep.
Less cap hit. And, you can give him maybe a dummy year at the end and give him another year of extension, but it really means nothing. And I would probably even add incentives to that to make it look like, because it's kind of hard for him to come in and kind of say, I want a new contract. And when I say that, I'm talking about higher pay per year. He didn't even play 9 games. So you have no leverage. You have 2 years left on your contract. So I'm trying to look from the motive of why would the Titans give King a new contract? And it would only be because it would help the cap. He didn't play last year. So I can't go down that road. And he's a running back with a lot of usage. Whether I think he can play another year or 2 at a high level, which I do believe that.
Yeah.
Do they take that into account? And I just don't know if I would. Maybe 1 more year and maybe a little bump in pay and sign a bonus to give him some guarantees. I'm not going to go out on a limb like a lot. He's getting close to that 30 number. And history tells us at 30, and I know he's outside of that box to me as far as who he is and what he does on the football field, but I have to rely on that as a gauge. When you get 30 and get close to 30, you start doing the downward tick. So seems like JR tries to stay ahead of that curve as well as get, even his superstars at value. Which is what he's got, Henry at. Henry's not – is Henry in the top 5 paid running backs? I think he's right at the bottom of that.
He was when the deal was signed. His 12.5, I think, is what his average. I think it was 4 for 50, essentially. 12.5, if I remember right, was the average.
So he may be still around.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think that was
about
2nd, 3rd, 4th, somewhere in there.
Oh, well, Kamara and Christian McCaffrey are ahead of him, so I know
Right.
he's not ahead of those.
Zeke is as well.
And
Yeah.
Zeke, that's 3.
But I think Kamara signed his deal after Henry.
Oh, did he?
I think
I'm
so.
just talking about where we're at today.
Oh, and
Yeah.
today, like closer to 4, 5.
And Dalvin Cook's making about the same, if not slightly more.
More, right. That's right. Because when we played him, I think I looked him up. So he's about 5. That's why I put in my brain 5. So I don't know if I was right or wrong. But at this time, so I think that's, if I'm a GM, I'm looking at like, we're about where I want to be. And it's because of he's more of the power back. Now, his usage may be more than them, but he's also coming out on third down. So
He's 5. Spot Track has
there we
him at
go.
5.
So this one here is a tricky one for me. I just out of good faith, maybe making some of his money guaranteed this year, and I maybe with some incentives, but I could even go into the next year, maybe, because he has 2 years left and give him an extension. That way, he's 30. We got him. I mean, 30 when he gets to 2 more years.
He
2 more
turns
years, he's
30 in the beginning of January of the last year of this deal.
And
He
I'm just
played
telling you
like
how
2 games
how
with
this
it.
world works
at the 30.
in the NFL. 30, regardless of what he does. Let's say he rushes when he's 30 in 2 more years, rushes for 1,300 yards. Let's just give that number, 1,200, 1,300 yards. All right, still pretty solid.
Yeah.
All right. If they cut him and let him loose, he would probably get a little above minimum salary on the market. And that's horrible to say, but that it just is where the running back position, and he may get more because he is the king, but he has to fit certain schemes and systems. Like I think he could fit the 49ers scheme and system. You know, he would do really well there, and they may look at him and like, I give you $3 to $5 million. You know, hey,
Put some
okay.
incentives in that, Rascal.
Right, but
yeah.
when you've been making, let's say, 13, 14, which is where he would be if they increased his salary a little bit, boy, that looks like a big slice to the pie.
Take the same amount of
Especially you
beating
say, well,
for a
hey,
third
I'm
of
still
the money.
producing,
Yeah.
and I'm playing at a high level. And he would probably get to that cap of 1,200, 1,300. And with a team who's devoted to him, I think he could continue to do that. In the right scheme, yeah. So he would have to look at that if he's going to another team, because I would want to go where I can still produce. So it's kind of interesting and fascinating that we're even having this conversation, because we won't forget what's happened to all the great backs who the Titans, Oilers organizations have some great ones. And I mean, it's hard to say who's the best to ever play in a Titans Oilers uniform. From Eddie George, Chris Johnson. I mean, man.
Earl Campbell.
I mean, woof, there's some guys. So and people always will look at the number, but in their era, I would say they were the best. I mean,
This is the one franchise that's probably marked in time more by running backs than quarterbacks. I mean, really.
Great
Like,
point.
nobody ever says that's the Dan Pastorini era. They say that was the Earl Campbell era. Now, McNair and Eddie kind of get the co-headline.
Right.
CJ2K, that was totally his era.
Well, CJ2K, and that's why I'm always so fascinated when I say him, because, I mean, I think he's done, nobody's in the NFL has ever done. He had 2,500 yards. So that's hard to say. I mean, we can go down to Marshall Falk.
He should have had the all-time record if it weren't for a bogus call in the
Right.
Seattle game that cost him however many yards.
It's really hard, and he was exciting to say, to see and watch until them pockets got heavy.
He's never, and the sad thing is,
Always
I
say
doubt he ever sees the Hall of Fame. But for a short time, he was the most electric player in football. And to me, that's what a Hall of Famer is. I mean, Terrell Davis.
Does he even have a 7,000 yards? Does he have 7? I would think. I thought he was close to that.
I think he is close to 7. I think it's 7 and change.
Man.
I mean, it just, when the cliff came, he stepped right over
You're
it.
saying total rush yards?
Total rush yards.
He's got over 9,600.
CJ2K.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking more of what he had here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, I mean,
What'd he
most
get?
of that is with the Titans, because
Right.
he didn't have any 1,000-yard seasons.
Right. What was the number?
in the 4 years out? With the Titans, let me do some math.
Oh, okay. That's why you were talking about. Okay, I thought it was like 7,000 because he played a couple more years at other places and actually did a halfway decent job. Well, was it Arizona or where was he?
Yeah, the Jets, Arizona. Arizona is where he was productive after the Titans.
He had 79.65
79, so
with
he
the
was almost
Titans.
8.
Almost
He was
8 here.
Almost 8.
1,003 years with Arizona, where he had one pretty good year and 1 year with the Jets.
So his total number is what?
96.51.
See, he's right under 10, and that's just rushing, but in passing, he's over that.
Oh gosh, he was such a threat to take it to the house. He only has 22. He has 22.55 receiving yards. Honestly, I thought it'd be more than that.
He had close to 8,000 rush yards as a Titan.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Think about the deal that guy would have signed today.
2,000 of his pass receiving yards came to the Titans. So he had what 10,000 all-purpose yards basically with the Titans. But I don't think he ever gets in, even though there were, say, 3 years where he was absolutely the most electric player in football. Maybe 4. I mean, like you said, when he got the ball in his hands, you stood up and watched.
Yeah, man, every time. There was a period of time for about 2, maybe even 3 years, you were like, he was the greatest show at Adelphia. I mean, he was, woof. It was, and when I say that, I'm talking about, it was like you're playing, any guy who's played in the pros, it was like he was like, we're back in little leagues, and he was the best player on the field. He got the ball every time you thought he was going to score, and he did it in the National Football League. That's I can't really. Henry gets close to that, but it's not like that. My man Eddie was a pounder,
right?
You know, yeah, he broke some, but it wasn't like, oh my gosh. And so when you say that, I mean, just think of that. Everybody was like, oh, when such and such gets the ball in Little League, like, he's going to score. That's how it felt.
In the NFL, though.
In the Indiana. Man, it was insane. And he made a former NFL player feel that way. Like, wow, man. Let me see. Oh, Susie touched it. And you, especially when you're up top and you're in the Titans radio suite and you can see the play developing and you see, he's about to do it again.
But this was from 40, 50, 60, 70. It didn't even matter where they were. You could just drop him a screen over the line of scrimmage, and he could just turn and outrun everybody to wherever the goal line was from where he was.
It was. I'm trying to think. Maybe Marshall Folk. I know Todd Gurley for a short period of window there. Just kind of recently. I mean, some other guys that were like that. It was just like, man, they had a 2-year window that was like, woo.
Yeah.
Wow. 2 or 3 year window was pretty impressive. King's getting close to that, so we shall see. But you know, he had his new hairdo, so I don't know if that makes him faster or not.
Longer. Got a lot of questions about that.
He did. Well, why don't we hear from the King next? He'd been away for a while. He gave a lot of answers about a lot of things. He talked about contracts and you name it. And let's hear from the King next on Blaine and Mickey. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 Zone. What are we listening to here?
What 22?
What?
22.
All
Taylor
right.
Swift.
I know we just don't play a lot of T Swizzle
No,
on this.
it's just relevant.
You threw this one out. That was very nice. Very nice pull there since we were going to hear from 22. Derrick Henry in practice today, did all of the stuff. I mean, I think we can say that. He was available for everything, looked good. As Blaine pointed out before the break, he's got longer hair now.
Or did he just take it out of his cocoon?
No, and he said, well,
that's what I call it. I don't know.
he
what it's
got
really
into
called.
it and basically said, well, it was I don't know, all of y'all called it different things, talking about his hair. But anyway, he does have long, luxurious locks now, and they were flowing behind him as he practiced. And then after practice, he gave some good time to the media. This is Derrick Henry, who reported today for mandatory minicamp.
And, being on the field, catching the ball, just doing all those type of things to make sure I'm ready.
What would you say the status of the foot is at this point?
How long since it's been since I played? Foot good. Foot is good.
I was going to say, do you feel like you're pre-injury, Derrick Henry, in terms of the foot and so forth?
Yeah, I feel good. I feel real good.
Ryan when he came back, he said that loss to the Bengals, it put him in a dark place to the point where he had to do therapy and things like that. I'm not saying you had to do that, but what did you do to kind of like work through such a disappointing loss, being as though the opportunity you guys had?
Yeah, it definitely was tough. Actually seeing Ryan, I think like back in March, we both had a sign in Alabama. We was talking about it, and he was saying he was in a dark place, and I was like, I felt the same way. It was just tough, and we all expected it to do more and play a lot better, and we just weren't good enough, and they were the better team. But anytime like that, a loss always hurts when you feel like you got everything promised, everything in front of you, and you just fall short. So it was tough, but definitely fueled me in the off season. I sound like a broken record because we keep doing the same thing. But all you can do is let it fuel you and get ready for the next one.
A day on average, you figure you're in the gym working out or lifting or whatever?
Yeah, a lot. I probably get up probably about 7:30 with my daughter. Let my girl go work out, and then I'll go work out probably like at 10:30. And then I come back, eat lunch, and I go back and work out at 4, and then do it all over again each day.
Where you say, maybe not today, maybe I'll take it easy today, or does that ever happen?
I give myself a Sunday off. Take my daughter. We go out to eat sometimes, but usually just Monday through Sunday, and take days off if I have to go travel or do something business wise.
Who pushes you on the days when you're maybe not feeling it, or is it all just kind of internal?
Yeah, so I just look at my daughter, and knowing I gotta go get it, and I got a little one to feed, and just staying motivated, staying hungry, and just never being complacent.
Derrick, have you always worked this hard, or did there come a point where you understood that I need to embrace this working out stuff away from actually being on the field to be the best I can be?
I think there's always been me, and since a kid. If I'm sitting around the house, do push-ups, sit-ups, or go run with my cousin when he was in high school, just because I wanted to work out. I just love working out. I love being fit. Love staying in shape. I love the game. So I feel like I'm sitting around, I'm not doing better. Somebody outworking me. So that's always the mindset I always had.
Some people see
having football taken away with the injury last year. Did it change your mindset or your approach at all in coming back and wanting to do more?
Yeah, anything, something like that, like traumatic happens, it definitely changes you, and you appreciate the game more. Of course, I miss my teammates, having that team camaraderie, and just being away, with a bone, you gotta let it heal on its own. So it takes time and things like that, and you just want to make sure you taking care of your body, doing everything possible. So when the time comes again, you prepare and you're ready.
Derrick, there was a report that the Titans would be open to working on a new contract with you. Would you be excited about that? How would you feel about the idea of working on a new contract with the Titans?
It's always good to get a promotion at your job. When you think so, you get a promotion. That's always good. But yeah, man, I'm just trying to work through that. I'm currently still on a contract, and if that's what the future holds, then yeah, that'd be great.
Derrick, now the videos out there have already been getting questions. The decision with the hair.
That's been a question with everybody. I wore it down out of the ponytail. Everybody was going crazy, and I don't know. I might switch it up this year. Never know. Stay tuned.
Any reason?
Huh?
Any reason behind it?
No, not really. I just want to switch it up. I've had it in that little, whatever anybody calls it, for a while now. So just want to switch it up.
What's the best feedback you've ever gotten from one of your IG videos, from whether it's a fan or anyone?
I mean, people just, I get so many questions, like I said last year, kids just asking me about workouts, asking what can they do to do better, and I just try to put it out there so they can see what I'm doing to try to motivate them, and they can learn something from it.
What's your initial impression, I guess, of Hassan Haskins, and what's it like for you when a young guy comes in? You spend a lot of time with them, answer any questions they might have, or how's that relationship go?
Yeah, I was excited when we got him. Hassan's a beast. I actually got to catch his game against Ohio State where he went off, and seeing him in person, he's a big dude. He's a solid dude, and just seeing him out there, I can tell him everything is coming natural to him. I just told him don't try to get too overwhelmed, just take it day by day.
Derrick, why the decision to train on your own as opposed to doing the team stuff here during the voluntary portion?
Well, in 2020, whenever COVID hit, we had to train by ourselves, and I really enjoyed that. I got to go work out when I wanted to, whether it was twice a day or 3 times a day or twice a day and go to the field. And then last year, I did the same thing. So I just felt like if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and continue to do those things. I'll communicate with the coaches, and they knew what was going on, and I talked to them every now and then, so everything was good.
I know you wouldn't want to make an excuse at all for the playoff game, but obviously you had like 4 days out here on the field to come back in. Do you feel like your old self or like a different running back now coming back than you did in that short period of time?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I have time away. I've been training like crazy and doing everything I can to, get my body right, and, I just been working, and through that time, I was off for like 9 to 10 weeks, and just coming back, I felt good, but I didn't play well enough, and there's no excuse. I got to be better, and I should have been better, but I feel good now.
When you look at what you were able to do the season before the injury and even leading up to the injury, like, it's safe to kind of call you unstoppable. Have you kind of looked at that injury like as a challenge to show yourself that you could get back to where you were and prove to people who are doubting you? You look at that as a challenge. Yeah,
I get motivated by anything. Something can motivate me, you wouldn't even know it. So, that definitely motivated me. And the doubters, whatever they want to be, I'm definitely motivated. I'm ready to go. So, we're gonna see.
You're not a preseason game guy. Do you foresee any need to get any preseason action coming off of all of your stuff, or you think it'd be the same deal and you'd be opening day guy?
Yeah, I talked to head coach Paul. He was out here about an hour with y'all. I'm sure he'll let y'all know if anything changes.
Thanks, Derrick. It's Derrick Henry from earlier today. Answered a lot of questions about a lot of different things. A lot of people always wonder why he works out away from the team. That was one of the things that came up today, and he just said, I did it during COVID, and I liked being able to create my own schedule, that kind of thing. So he went down that road. Also talked to Blaine about just him working, and he said, there may be guys, what did he essentially say? There may be guys who aren't working, so I'm going to go and work.
Yeah, I really just a little perturbed. When you're talking to a player that is that talented, to ask him, what motivates him and all those things, he's internally motivated by his own. He's competing against himself. Mm-hmm. So there is no outside things. Yeah, there's some people say here, there. He wants to come back to be better than he was before the injury. Not just as good as he was before the injury, better. That's his standard. That's the way he's always going to think. So it's just intriguing to me that people don't think that that's how he thinks. Like there's something new. You don't make it this far and do what he's accomplished to this point in his career without that kind of thought process. It's impossible. It's impossible. It's exactly what I thought. It's exactly what all the really good players, when you get to this level, that's the only way you can think. There's always something. You'll find your edge, and you're going to make yourself better. And you can actually look at Henry's career, basically, and see where he's improved on a lot of different things from when he first came in there, from catching the ball to running routes to being laterally quicker. There's a whole bunch of things that were a lot of question that he continued to improve. Hats off to him that, hey, you know what? I'm going to get better on things. Those are my weaknesses. Some players don't address their weaknesses. Yeah. They just are content with what they have. Well, that's why they're just good players. Well, the elite players, nah, that's not how it works. They're working on every facet of the game, and they make their weaknesses become their strengths. So, all those things were not surprising to me. So, yeah. It was the only thing that was interesting there really was about, the promotion, which is really a raise. He's already the number 1 running back. But that, so that was it. Kind of interesting. He's doing his hair a little different. I called it the cocoon. That's what I called it.
It looked whatever you guys wanted to call it. People call it different things.
Yeah, but for me, I was a big proponent. Being a former defensive guy, I didn't like him having that outside his hair. And reason why I say that, and I'm being honest, I would actually try to tackle him by that cocoon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm trying to get any and everything that I can get, and it was long enough where you could get it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's happened numerous times. I thought they had a rule in the league where you had to have it rolled up into like a bun or something where it can't be like hanging. Now, granted, his was kind of stiff and he made it, but it was definitely something that if I was trying to tackle him, especially after he gave me that straight arm, now I'm reaching for shoulder pad. I'm reaching for back. I'm grabbing hair. I'm getting anything I can. Yeah, well, no questions asked. And then he get mad. You like, hey, man, put it up.
Right.
Put it up where I can't get it. So, yeah. So, it's just like it was stringing, bouncing around. He may feel a little lighter. So, I don't know.
Well, I remember us having a conversation with somebody. This has been a while ago. And whoever it was talking about Justin Hunter. And they said, the guy's not competitive. And you said, stop right there. You don't get to this level. He was kind of a happy-go-lucky kind of a guy. Mm-hmm. But play him in ping pong, play him in basket, then tell me he's not a competitor. Right.
That's the one thing that would perturb me being a player in the league when I was playing, to just say someone is like that or he's a bust.
Right.
Wait a minute now. What consists of a bust? I mean, maybe he got here and he can't help where he went, and the game is he's just not good enough. Mm-hmm. That could just happen. Or he just didn't meet the level of his own ability, and he's disappointed in himself. So there's a lot of different things. You try to say somebody is not very good. Well, he got to here. He is pretty good. Now, what he does from here is a whole nother question, and how much can he improve? Sometimes your talent is capped, and you don't know that it's capped. If my talent was capped, then how did I end up at Ball State? Mm-hmm. Right? So I didn't know what my ceiling was until I got to the league, and it kept rising. Mm-hmm. Well, most players don't know if it's going to rise or stable, or maybe you just go up a little bit. Let's say Rashaan Evans. Mm-hmm. There we go. Like you say, well, why does that happen? So, Hunter, he was a super talented guy. Yeah, so, sometimes it just doesn't work out, whether he's disappointed based off where he went in the draft or his performance. He'll show you glimpses. Just can you do it all the time? And at the same time, the team wasn't really good too. So, yeah, so Henry, he's a special guy. So all those things, you don't win the Heisman, National Championship, best player in the country coming out of high school. So when his accolades, when you just read them all throughout his entire life, to think that he doesn't need any motivation. He is internally motivated. Like he wakes up like, what am I doing today to get better? It's not about what somebody else is doing. What am I? What am I doing to get better? Just like Lucas does every day when he says, what can I do to help the Blaine and Mickey show?
100%. Look at him. He's just the Italian stallion.
Yeah, I was impressed. He tweeted our stuff at 12:30.
He did.
Yeah, that was impressive.
Well, but
we got to see if he can be consistent, just like Justin Hunter.
100% since I got back in town.
But he said, if I was just sitting around the house, I'd do push-ups and sit-ups. He said I had an older cousin who was in high school. If he ran, I just went and ran with him.
Hey, this dude, it's like any other job. And people are motivated in different forms and fashion, whatever you do. And so, especially if you love it, hey, you love what you do. Some people work and they don't love what they do. They just do what they can to get by in a regular job, right? Well, guess what? There are guys like that in the National Football League. For whatever reason, there are guys like that who were motivated, and then when they got there, they go, well, this is as far as I'm going to go. This is what the coach believes, so then I got to buy in. This is what it is. Guess what? I'm not buying in. I'm not buying in. And guess what? One thing I love about sports, I can show you that I don't and that you're wrong. That's what I love. So the guys who don't want to show them up, then guess what? They'll have a short stint in the National Football League.
Sports is the ultimate equalizer. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter how you got there. As long as you got there, then it's what you do next.
Yeah, what you do next. And we've heard Vrabel say that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yep, that's it.
Well, look no further than dang Logan Woodside. Look where he came from the middle of nowhere. He's killed off every backup they've ever drugged down there to try to beat him out.
When you brought that up, it is amazing. I mean, some vetted guys who were highly talented, and
Barkley,
some of
yeah,
them more talented than him.
Yes.
To be honest.
He ran them all out of there. Every one of them. Beat out every one of them.
What was the second rounder? I always forget his name from Notre Dame that went to Cleveland. He started some years. They brought in, he was only here for a cup of coffee. I mean, really, like 4 weeks. And it was like, nope, he is not the guy. They've drafted some guys. Yeah, man. Golly, I can't remember that kid's name. He was super talented. He's bounced around on different teams, like for Arizona. I was like, this may be the guy, because he has the talent. And I don't know, somebody else.
Talking about a quarterback?
Yep.
Deshaun Kaiser.
Oh, be wiser. Call Kaiser. How could I forget that?
Yeah. It's like, this may be the guy.
Nope.
That's what I was thinking.
Right.
Because I said, he's
everybody was thinking that, except for
Logan.
Logan Woodside, who was like, nope.
I got
Bye.
you. Yep.
Pack it up. Don't unpack your bag.
Mac action.
Hey, man.
Yeah. See? Because that's what you can show. Hey, at the end of the day, it's about when we turn on the tape, who's a better player.
Well, I mean, NWI's still here.
Oh, well, NWI is exceeding all expectations. I mean, theoretically, he is like Lucas, the number one wide receiver. People, we need to get comfortable saying that. I'm serious now. We don't know what Woods is going to be. We could say, but he's going to be what he is. It doesn't matter if he's a 1-2. He's the guy that's going to play. He's a veteran. He's going to be in the slot. He's going to be outside. He's going to do different things. He's going to be a solid player. But if Burks is not ready to go, which it looks like that's going to happen, I hate to say that. And I could say that in that he's not even out there practicing. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to compare it to another talented player that went first round by the Tennessee Titans, Corey Davis. Coming off an ankle injury out of college, he did not hardly practice, and then this is where we got. And then that's the beginning of A.J. Brown, right? So I'm going to say it's going to be the beginning of NWI.
Remember, Corey also got hurt as soon as he got here. I've showed you I still have it on my phone, the route he ran and got
so
something boing. Yeah. That's the sound it made.
We might get used to it. So in my mind, we should be looking for a veteran right now. And I can't rely on where he's going to be at conditioning wise. No answers, speculation. Are they going to get a wrap on his ass? Guess what? If they would have said he's not practicing today because it's hot outside, we are in Tennessee. It is hot outside, and it's going to be hot outside in the preseason, going to be hot outside in the regular season. So we need to get this thing handled real quick. And to me, this is not quick enough. If they knew that he had this condition, then they should have been on top of it. As soon as they drafted him and flew him here, he should have been getting tested for all the asthma tests and allergies and everything involved with that, so we can get you out here ready to rock and roll. It's a sense of urgency by the organization if you believe that much in them. And so that way we could be cutting that time in half. It looks like to me that they found this out as we're going along.
And they said they didn't.
Well, they said they knew of his health condition. Yeah. They didn't answer the actual question. Did you knew of the asthma?
Yes, we knew he had asthma. They said we knew he had. They knew there. What did they say? We knew there were medical conditions.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I asked you about asthma.
Yeah.
We know you get all the medical conditions. So, or did you know the extent of the asthma, that how it would react here, or did you understand that? Because every place is different. And some, I would say, well, he's in Arkansas. I mean, it's not that far. I mean. But it's a little different. I have to say that for myself.
Allergies different, but the heat wise, I mean, I grew up there. I can tell you, it's hot there. It's hot there.
Right. Well,
allergies different here.
People always think like I'm in Indiana. They think, oh man, it's nowhere near hot. For a 3-month period, it's just as humid as it is in Nashville, Tennessee.
Then you have a terrible winter.
Right.
You get the worst of both.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, for a period of time, it's the same.
Let's pick this up on the other side. We'll ask a question. Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline open 615-737-1045. Big Jeff not practicing today. A lot of speculation. That's kind of I'm just here so I don't get fined until my contract gets worked out. Traylon Burks didn't practice. Again, are you concerned? 615-737-1045.
Yeah, very confident. You know, I mean, that's got a lot of confidence in all our players to prepare. And, you know, we got a few weeks, you know, quite a few weeks here before we do go to training camp.
Are you surprised by that?
Surprised by what? I try not to get too surprised, but I mean, I'm sure you guys will disagree. But
The asthma setback with Traylon.
no, and that's not, you know, I mean, we deal with a lot of different things. He just, you know, that's something a lot of guys deal with. Again, we've touched on this.
At practice today, is there a specific reason for that, and how do you feel about your first-round pick not being out at practice today?
He was unavailable.
I assume, did you guys know that he had asthma? Is that something that's covered?
Yeah, there's a long medical history, yeah.
That was Mike Vrabel 1 week ago today when being asked why Traylon Burks wasn't at practice on Tuesday of OTAs.
Of last week.
That was from 1 week ago today. It's Tuesday, and that was a Tuesday, but it was a Tuesday a week before this Tuesday.
Which today he was on a bike.
He was at practice, but on a bike. He did not have a uniform on, nor did he participate in football-type activities at any point today. So
How did you take that?
You've been very adamant. When it happened, we came back in and we said, you know, they got asked did they know about his asthma, and you were like, they didn't say yes. So
because I'm a direct guy, so I want to hear he asked you a direct question, just say yes. He just said, well, we knew of a long medical history that we get, or something to that effect. Well, but I don't know. Maybe it wasn't on there, or maybe he didn't have it, or no one was aware. I don't know. He just said we are aware of his long medical history. That could be about his ACL tear.
Which we found out from a reporter from Little Rock, from high school.
Was the long medical history with asthma on there? And see, I don't think he would have answered that because he probably felt like that's more personal, HIPAA, you know, and all those things. So it was kind of a broad answer. You would assume they know, but I like to assume that you don't know because you would have been prepared for it. You would have already been prepared for it. Now, did they know maybe it was to this extent? I'd love to get somebody, somebody from Arkansas to tell us if he had asthma and he had an inhaler when he played there. Because maybe the allergies here with his asthma kind of took it to a whole nother level. And now they're trying to get a grasp on, okay, what maybe he's increased on his inhaler. We're going to play it safe. We're going to get him in shape, inside the bubble. Doing other things, we want him out here watching practice, so we got him riding a bike, which really is over there, you're just chilling out. But we don't know what he did inside and what they got him on over there. So I'm sure they're taking the safe side. So another safe precautionary procedure to me would be to sign a veteran receiver. I would start looking now. Because I got to assume that – I have to assume at this point that there's a possibility – that he won't be up to the speed that we want him. So that means he'll probably be, a rotational player. And NWI and Woods are going to be the starter. Guess what? Well, Woods has an ECL, and even though he's doing really well, I got to have my game plan for if that doesn't work out or if he has some swelling and it has issues. So that's 2 now red flags at your receiver position. That's why I say NWI now has to be considered the number 1 guy at this point in time. The reason why? Availability and dependability. He's been there the whole entire time. So, yeah, I think I would. Because the more reps he's not doing when a young player, I don't care if you first round, you're not getting reps, you're not getting better. There's no way around it. This league is different. So, yeah. Yeah, so...
If Robert Woods wasn't coming off of an ACL, would that change the way you feel? If he was fully healthy, no problems.
It would.
Okay.
It would. Because I think I would have a little more confidence. We got time.
Mm-hmm.
We got Dez, not Dez Bryant. Dez Fitzgerald, right? Fitzpatrick. Okay, and whatever they think of McMath. I don't know what they think of those guys. I still would be on alert. I would say that. And start maybe making some calls. That way by training camp, they could be here, and I know a veteran guy can get up to speed. And it doesn't have to be some rocket launcher like everybody wants, the speed guy.
Yeah. They want Will Fuller because he's the speed guy.
But I would not do that. That's just me, though.
No, history
based
says
off
you
of
go
his
get 8
history.
games.
Right. Well, if I would sign him after 8 games. I would sign him after 8 games. I would not. Here's what I would be worried about. A guy like Fuller is we bring him in early at training camp. We already have our guys and everybody's up to speed. So he's not dressing. He's not happy or he's barely playing. Well, we're talking about a speed guy who needs to play and keep running. When he's not running, then he gets out there and starts full blast, pull. Well, he has a history of pulls. So you got to, monitoring maybe at practice and those things. So I would bring in somebody. I know you could say easily speed is what's missing out of this group because it is. Somebody's a high flyer, is a rocket launcher. But to me, there's other ways you beat people deep. Now, would you consider A.J. Brown a deep threat? A speed demon?
No.
Right. But he sure consistently beat people deep, didn't he? That's the guy I want.
Yeah.
Right here in this. Because you would have more things to choose from of guys like that. And you want guys who are polished, understand route combinations, understands about the timing. So I'm getting that veteran guy. And then who wouldn't be, let's say, upset if he's not out there starting and going every play in and play out.
Right.
Guy who's going to come in, play his role, and be cool. So that's kind of the guy I would go after. And I would want that veteran presence who also has this kind of mentoring type to him where he can also help develop some of these young guys. Some things need to be told from another guy, player to player.
Well, who's number 5 and 6 wide receiver on this team? It, to me, is one of the most wide open things that exist.
Well, I thought Dez looked better, to be honest, than last year. That's what I'm comparing him against himself. That was the only thing that really stood out. I was a little excited about Mason Kinsey.
Yeah.
I like what I saw out of him. He seems improved. What I like about him, he plays with this air of kind of like Tennessee baseball, this air of cocky but confident player in his ability.
Mm-hmm.
You could see it in his body language. He knew he belonged, and he knows he's good enough. I like that. I saw it. Phillips was on the other field, a guy I thought could, with his route running ability, I think he has a sixth sense of routes, but he's not there yet. But they're gonna progress at a rapid rate the more reps they get. That's why it's bothering me that Burks is not out there, especially that talented of a player.
All right, we got 3 people on the phone line. Alex, Joey, Bam. If you hold, we will take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll go straight to the phones. Lots to discuss as the Titans hit the field today for day 1 of minicamp. We'll get into all of it next. We'll get into it with you.
Sometimes
It is 2:02. Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Titans were on the field for mandatory minicamp earlier today at St. Thomas Sports Park. We heard from head coach Mike Vrabel, from quarterback Ryan Tannehill, and running back Derrick Henry, who spoke on the possibility of a new contract with the Tennessee Titans.
I mean, it's always good to get a promotion at your job. When you think so, you get a promotion. That's always good. But, yeah, man, I'm just trying to work through that. I mean, I'm currently still on a contract, and if that's what the future holds, then, yeah, I mean, that'd be great.
Attendance was good at minicamp, although defensive tackle Jeffrey Simmons and first-round pick wide receiver Treylon Burks did not participate in practice. When asked about it, Mike Vrabel said they were just unavailable. A massive TV deal has been signed, sealed, and delivered for the MLS and Apple TV starting in 2023, a reported $2.5 billion deal over the course of 10 years. There will be no local blackouts, and season ticket holders in MLS will get a free subscription. Again, that starts in 2023. The Atlanta Braves just keep on winning, looking for number 13 in a row tonight against the Washington Nationals on the road, a 6:05 first pitch. Bad news, though, last night. All-star second baseman Ozzie Albies left the game in the fifth with a fractured left foot. And the Nashville Sounds back on the road this week at the Memphis Redbirds, having lost 8 of their last 11. First pitch tonight is 7:05. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Happy Tuesday to you. Titans on the field for minicamp today. Derrick Henry in the house, and he practiced. No Big Jeff on the field. No Treylon Burks on the field if you're just getting in the car or wherever you're going or just starting to join us on the show. But again, 22 was there. You'll hear a lot of audio from him everywhere you go. He kind of answered a lot of questions about a lot of things. Big Jeff, the thought is maybe it's I'm just here so I won't get fined. There's no indication he's having any kind of a physical anything. He was there, but he didn't practice on the field. Treylon Burks didn't practice last week when we were at OTAs. He did not practice today. Mike Vrabel was asked about both of them. He said unavailable about Big Jeff. And there was a follow-up question about Big Jeff, and he said unavailable. And somebody said, what about Burks? And he said unavailable. So he gave 3 unavailables out of a possible 2 players. Liked what I saw from the tight ends today. I think.
Oh, that's right. You were out there. They did the red zone, right? You said
they did low red zone, and red zone. Which means like this, like the offense is like shooting, fish in a barrel a lot of times. But tight end room is interesting and versatile. Coach Mack's going to join us. I want to ask him about the tight ends because he was telling me some interesting things today. The defense still looks really stout. King Henry looks great. He looks like Derrick Henry. I'll tell you, I had a pretty good day at times. Logan Woodside today. Malik Willis, I think I told you this. You was like, well, what do you think about him? Because I've seen him practice several times now. He's still kind of a one-speed guy. Like sometimes it's like, I'm going to throw it really high and drop it in the bucket. No, he throws it straight at the guy. He's still adjusting to, I think, different throws for different situations. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. He puts a lot of mustard on it every time. Mm-hmm. As to where you watch a veteran guy and he might think, okay, I'm going to pull something. I'm going to pull this one back.
Right. This one's got some touch to it.
This one's got some touch to it.
Get it in there, fit it in there over the top. Mm-hmm.
Willis is still just like, there's a brick wall between me and that guy. I'm going to throw it through the wall to get it to that guy. He throws
rather for him to be that way, and then you can will that back.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But you gotta.
He got some power behind his throws.
There's drills you can do for some of these throws. I think you're saying that he's not actually throwing. He's throwing them like ropes. Like.
So play today in the end zone in lower red, and I mean we can't tell you who lined up where or anything like that, but the DB was engaged with the receiver, and maybe he was trying to like that back shoulder type thing where you almost throw it like the DB's got his arm up and you're trying to throw it out. Maybe that's what he was doing, but you see sometimes the quarterback will try to throw it high so the receiver can go up and make a play on it, and he threw it low. So maybe he was trying for a back shoulder thing.
Oh, okay.
But he does put a lot of mustard on the ball. So for him, it's going to be like, let's control some of this power. Let's find the right throw for every situation. Because, my gosh, he can throw the football.
Yeah. Well, that was, who had that, who's a Hall of Famer. I'm not going to compare it to Hall of Famer. It's Brett Favre. That was his thing. He was breaking guys' fingers at practice. his rookie year. He was just everything was on fire.
Oh, you got to play against
even
him.
if it was just like a quick flare route to the running back. He was like, dude.
Did he throw the hardest football of anybody you played? Because I know you said Dan Marino had his own thing. His release was so quick, like the ball was just gone.
I caught the end of both him and Elway my rookie year. They threw the ball pretty hard.
Remember Elway ripped a bunch of scar tissue loose in his shoulder and they thought he was hurt. And then he's like, no, I feel better than I have it. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Like the last year of his career.
That was the year I played him there.
They thought he was hurt because something happened. He ripped something loose in his arm and the doctor looked, he goes, no, it was just scar tissue. And suddenly his arm got better.
Yeah, suddenly that's when he threw all the way on the other side of the field and they toasted me. The coach
After they told you he can't throw it over there anymore.
No, coach, he can't throw over there. You go run over there to the other side and help those guys out. Boy, he did. And I was MFing the coach the whole way. Boom. He said he couldn't do that.
Let's take some of these phone calls. We've got near loaded lines on a Tuesday Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. So as Blaine always says, he's our director of content. It's our show. It's your show.
I'm also keeping it real today. I think I'm getting a little perturbed of all the Burks every day. It's just you got to move on. You're not out there. It's almost like you're unavailable. Let's keep it moving. That's why I go down this direction of a veteran guy. And until you prove that you can be, and we don't know when that is, I don't know. You can't dictate health. And then there's a process of shape, rhythm, timing, plays. There's a whole bunch of things he's just missing right now. So I just like, let's keep it moving till he gets ready.
Tannehill is developing chemistry with the guys who are there. Austin Hooper and Tannehill just getting it together. I can tell you can see the chemistry there. Had some nice chemistry with Okonkwo today, who's a rookie. He's finding that chemistry with him. Okonkwo's getting some opportunities. Let's take some of these phone calls. Alex in Nashville, thank you for holding through the break, Alex.
Hey, guys. I'm just amazed at all the negativity from Blaine. You know, do you know where we live?
Yeah, they've all talked about the,
we are surrounded by
the
50 miles of mountains, okay?
Yeah, we sit down in the
We are in a lowland, which means pollen
I have allergies
everywhere.
and I take medicine too, sir. Yeah, I do.
Well, you know, that was going to be my question to you. When you came to Nashville, did you have to start taking medicine?
Yep, absolutely. I didn't miss any practice, though.
Guess what? I took medicines, too, because my whole body was shaking. And I went to the doctor and said, okay, you know, how long do I have to live? Because, you know, I thought I was dying. He said, you got allergies. No worries. Right. Well, the medicines were worse for me than the actual allergies, so I just learned to live with it. But
how long ago was that?
1994 is when I moved here.
How much more you think the medicine's gotten better?
Oh, I'm sure
I'm
sure the medicines have gotten better, but when you move here, your body has to acclimate, and my body has finally acclimated. And I played sports at that time.
I did too, for the Titans.
Quite a bit of sports. So, you know, I was outside a lot. But my point is that they don't have in Little Rock and in Knoxville, Tennessee, they don't have the type of pollen. The amount of pollen that we have in our air is 10 times what most surrounding cities have. So him having a little bit of problem with asthma does not, and it doesn't seem to make coach mad or upset. It doesn't seem to.
But we don't know that though. We don't even know if they knew the extent of how much, if he even had asthma. He just said we have his medical records.
Yeah, but you know what?
Because
when
they're not
you're
going to
about
tell
to
us.
be when you're about to be drafted first round or even second round by an NFL team.
Yeah, I was drafted and I was.
They
at the
know
combine.
everything.
Yeah, and they don't know everything. And they don't know everything. They don't. It's just the way it is. You don't make assumptions. They don't. They do not. They do not.
Okay.
They do not.
I am not. You know, I know that once this kid gets acclimated, I think he'll be fine.
I'm going to say this quick question to you, and I completely agree with everything you're saying. But if they knew everything, then why wasn't every team in the NFL forewarned, and then the Titans in inclusive from them, knowing that we're in this bottleneck for allergies, even more so prepared and even did test on them before they even drafted them.
Well,
See, that's how you prepare.
That's a question for Mike and our general manager.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as me knowing what I know, living here as long as I've lived here, I know that it's going to take him a while to acclimate, and then once he does, he'll be fine.
Right.
Now, you're right. You know, timing is everything. He needs to get timing with his quarterback. Well, that's going to be a little delayed, but it's going to come. I truly believe it's going to come.
Oh, well, yeah, eventually it will come, but they needed to come week 1. That's why you go sign a veteran. You can't wait on this process. I think their window is this season or is it. So that's why I act the way I'm acting. And really has nothing to do with Burks. I love the kid. I think he's going to be a really good talent. But they're trying to get somewhere, and right now he's not ready to get there. And he's slowing the process. So they got to move on until he's ready. And everybody talks about chemistry. Anybody who's listening to me on this radio station, at any point in time, I value chemistry almost as much as anything else. Because sometimes you should just be able to look at a guy and you get that kind of chemistry. Well, that chemistry, it takes a minute to develop. Let's watch this. I'm going to say this. NWI has been on this team. It's taken him 3 years to get that kind of chemistry with Tannehill. 3 years. It doesn't happen overnight. Sorry, Charlie. That does not happen overnight. And sometimes it doesn't even happen in a year. My first year playing with Mark Robb, that didn't happen. I was too worried about what I had to do, and he was too worried about what he had to do. No, so chemistry is a finicky thing, and it can help, especially at receiver and quarterback. Probably the toughest one to get. So, yeah, I completely agree with everything you said as far as his health. I just think they didn't know as much about his condition. If not, they would have prepared for it, and it wouldn't have happened at a camp. So they would have known. So there we have it. So now they're taking the cautious approach, which you should. So that's why my step would be go sign somebody else. We'll wait for you. But guess what? This train don't stop.
Well, in the NFL, it's one game a week. I mean, you got to try to find a way to win every one of them that you can. You got to find a way to win all of them. So if that means get another guy in the meantime, in between time, then that's a veteran to come in and say, hey, big fella, when you're ready.
Ew.
But right now we got to get, just name some veteran guy that's out there because that guy's got to come in and he'll learn the system. Man,
my allergies are so bad. It would affect my skin. So I wore tights, and it's 100 degrees. I couldn't even touch it. Sometimes it was the stuff that was in the grass.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to go tell the tights, reseed, resize. Yeah, really?
Coach Mack's going to join us next. Maybe he knows something about allergies. Yeah. We can ask him about that more. If you're on hold, you can hold. We can get to you after Coach Mack or in the final segment of the show today. Always going to take your phone calls when we can. Got a little something for Dad, though, right now. It's Dad's Week on 104.5 The Zone. All week long, we're going to give you your chance to win tickets to events and concerts for you to take Dad this summer in honor of Father's Day. So be caller 5 now for your chance to win Dad a pair of tickets. Ooh, woo! Pair of tickets to see Roger Waters at Bridgestone Arena. Count me in. August 27th. Man, another brick in the wall. Get yours. 615-737-1045. Caller 5. Coach Mack next.
Dad's Week.
Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. That music means one thing. It means Coach Mack is on the phone and ready to talk some Titans after mandatory minicamp today. Coach, did you enjoy yourself out there this morning? It was good to see everybody back in the fold.
Yeah, I always enjoy myself at practice. I enjoyed seeing you. I missed not seeing Blaine. But, yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, you going to give me some air condition, man? I needed an air condition. Mine
what
went
happened?
Out. Mine went out, man, 3 o'clock this morning.
At your house?
Yeah. Yep. So if you want to come on and, fix our
Let me say this, Blaine.
I know you're good with your hands, though.
There is not a good time ever to have your AC out. But right now, when it's hotter than the hubs of hell, this is really not good.
Oh, man, I had fans and going by stuff. And then
What did it go out? Did it go out in the middle of the night?
Yeah, at 3 a.m. is when I woke up and I said, man, I'm hot. What's going on? I looked at my wife. Did you turn up? No, I didn't turn up nothing. Because she knows I like it ice cold.
Well,
that's her playing deal, so she want to snuggle.
Well, you don't. You don't. I'm not getting into your snuggling, but I know you need AC, man. I hope you get it fixed.
Yeah, man. So yeah. So that was why I wasn't there, but I hated that I missed it, man. Especially I love the heat, man.
Yeah,
so, that's not when I sleep.
Yes.
No, you're 100% right. I mean, we know it's hot. I've lived in hot places. I grew up in a hot place in West Texas. I spent I had a house in Phoenix for 17 years. It's fairly hot there, and it's hot here. I tell you what, it's hot in St. Louis. It's hot in L.A. Pretty much, it's hot all over the world right now.
Yes, it is. Was hot on the practice field today, but it was good to see everybody out there. So let me ask you this. You get essentially 3 days. I know some teams will kind of let guys go early or cut them loose or have some kind of a plan for the third day. But for whatever amount of time you have this work with everybody, typically everybody's there. What are you trying to accomplish the most over these next, today, tomorrow, and the next day over your mandatory mini camp?
Well, you're still just going through, your normal install. I mean, you've got your normal install going. You have some guys that aren't there, when it's not, mandatory. The guys that are there, that are mostly not there, are veterans. So, I mean, they're caught up with what's going on. But you're just going through you're not trying to jam anything in right now. I mean, that's just not what this is for. You're not trying to jam anything in, and you're trying to get work done. And a lot of work, especially when the guys that haven't been here, in my experience, which is quite a bit of it. If you have vets that have been away for some part of the initial OTAs, then the biggest part is once they get back in is being in the meeting rooms and getting to see how that vibe is going to be, because the vibe in a meeting room is very, very important too, as is the chemistry, on the field. So all of that stuff, but you're not trying to jam anything together just because it's got mandatory in front of it.
It's interesting. On any team at any given time, there's a lot of competition for spots, but I was thinking about the offense today, and there's starting jobs up for grabs and backup jobs on the O-line and wide receiver positions. There's a lot of jockeying and a whole new tight end room and all the guys behind Derrick Henry playing running back, even who's the number 2 quarterback. It's fun to watch that much competition for that many spots.
Well, and the real competition starts, when these guys get back here, for training camp after the break. That's when the real competition starts. This is more like shadow boxing right now. I mean, it really is. But when they come back in and the pads come on, and you got the full gloves on in the middle of the ring, and you're going those 2 weeks or those 15 days before the first preseason game. I mean, that's when it really, really starts. Right now you can do some things, but even still, like in the 7-on-7s, and I mean, it's different than even when Blaine played, and it's different when I was coaching. A lot of times 7-on-7, even without pads on, got to be a pretty physical thing because, the DBs didn't want to give up any throws. The receivers, and so that's when you started getting your shoulder injuries and this and that. So when you come back for training camp, that is when the real competition is going to start. Right now, it's kind of a feeling out process for both the coaches and the players.
Coach Mack joining us as he does the same time every week. Better rates, better coverage, better service. That's why Tennesseans have been relying on Farm Bureau health plans for their coverage for 75 years, just like we rely on Coach Mack for the Mack Attack each week.
Yeah, naturally, Coach Traylon Burks is not on the field. I think they said he was riding a bike. But when does it become, being a former head coach and a coach in this league for a very long time, concerning for your first rounder to get on the field with the vets? Because this is the time you can get your first impression to them. Now, naturally, I'm assuming it's some form of with the asthma and everything else. But when do you start, as a coach, saying, well, this guy was going to be somewhat of a contributor. He's replacing someone that was a huge contributor to our team when he was available. When do you start looking to maybe expedite, let's say, maybe development of other receivers, or bringing in a veteran until the youngster gets up to speed and gets his health where he needs to get it?
Well, when I was coaching, I had all the information. I had all the information on everything, so I knew exactly where everything was at every point in time. I don't have that information now. Okay, so you're asking me when I was coaching. I never got concerned because I always had the information, and so if I had the information, I was always prepared for whatever was not only going to happen, but how I was going to face what was going on. So without the information, I've got to believe that they know exactly what's going on. And so to me, all those types of things are very, very different. The issue with not having all the information is then all of a sudden you get all the speculation and you start to, assume things.
Exactly.
There you go. And so I don't have that information. That's not what
here's
I
the information we do
anymore.
have, though, Coach. He is not practicing.
That's
that's
information
what I'm
we
going
got.
by.
So
then when do you move forward and start saying we may need to look for a secondary, plan here?
I think with the information they have, how long they think it's going to be prolonged, not how long they think, how long they know, because then they know. If they say this guy is going to be on the shelf for a long time, then you start going out to find somebody else. If it's not going to be, then you don't. But until you have all that information, as I said, I could make those decisions really easy when I was coaching, and it was my decision because I had all the information gathered. I don't know about this. The only thing about this I know is he's not practicing right now.
Right.
So really, I don't even think about him right now.
Right, yeah, right. Well, what I'm thinking about is I need another receiver in my rotation. And when it comes to someone's health, especially when you're dealing with something like this situation, you don't know when it actually will get resolved. It's a timing where you have no idea. It could happen overnight or it could happen in a month. I mean, it really, when you're talking about, asthma, nobody can dictate when that'll just go away. And then when there's a process of getting timing, rhythm, learning the plays, getting in shape, there's a whole process here, as you know, that can't just happen overnight. So you got to say, well, we got to wait till this develops out with his health. Well, then that would put alarm bells for me as a coach, not knowing any of the information. All I go is by what I see, and that is he's not practicing.
Yeah, well, they must have. Clearly, I will tell you this as a coach. If this situation is honestly than this situation, I would know exactly why he wasn't practicing, and I would know exactly when he was going to come back. I would know those things because all of that. It's just like when you get information on the draft. I mean, if somebody has been at the combine, and if your area scouts have done their work, which they do, or they wouldn't be hired, you got all kind of information on these guys now. The situation at hand, then you deal with it, the situation at hand. And so to me, as I say, I've been in this type of situation. I've been in all situations in 31 years of doing this. And if I knew that the guy wasn't going to be ready, then sure, you can go out and start to get somebody else ready. But I can't speak on that now. I learned real quick in coaching. I'll tell you who told me this too, Mike Ditka, real early. He said, look, as a coach in this league, these are professional players, and here's something you don't talk about. You don't talk about their families, you don't talk about their money, and you don't talk about their health. I'll do that when I have to give injury reports during the season. And I said, yes, sir.
Yep, there you have it from Coach Mack giving us the Mack attack. Someone who did practice, who is showing definitely from his last game and is, that he played in the playoffs and that he's fully healthy from his IG videos. That is the King Henry. How was it? And nice was it seeing him practice and refreshing to see him out there?
He just looks different. I mean,
nobody looks like the King now.
They really don't. I mean, he always has, and he always will, and but when he's out there, I mean, I watch everything very close, as to what I want to watch. What I enjoyed watching today was when they were out there, when he was out there before practice, not during practice, but before practice. You know how position groups will get out there and start to stretch on their own kind of and loosen up, before the horn ever blows, before anything, starts. You could watch those younger backs that have not seen him in person yet. You could see them looking at him going, really?
Hey, that's a big dude.
No, like, really. You can just see him kind of just sitting around watching. It's kind of like that big bull in the field. All those younger bulls kind of keep some distance around going, wow, okay. So that's what it looks like to be the dude.
Well, with Coach Mack giving us the Mack Attack from Titans Radio.
Coach Mack, you and I were talking a little bit about the tight ends today, and
we were.
And not giving anything away about who's playing where or anything. I'll just say this, and I know you can speak to it much better, but this is a group that will give this team what looks like great amounts of offensive flexibility, if I can say it that way.
Well, let's just be honest. I mean, because the three of us are always honest with each other, and we're always going to be honest. I mean, the tight end group last year never really got solidified, and you were trying to piecemeal something together. Never really had a number one dude, and so you really had to kind of work around that. I mean, is that fair to say? I mean, I think it really is. Now, what you have, in my opinion, watching them out there, and I was talking with you about this, you've got three guys for sure that have separate skills that look to be able to blend together pretty well, that may give some matchup problems for some defenses. And so when you have that, now I think you very definitely now, with the addition of two new players with Swain, you've got some guys that have different types of skill sets that you are going to be able to incorporate in a lot of different ways, because we all three know, and so our listeners do too, the big thing in the league is matchups. It's matchups. And the more versatile your matchups can be and the more varied your matchups can be, the more versatility that gives you as an offense. Looking at this tight end group, it's much more varied than the one that we had last year. I can say that, and I think I can say that with some pretty good definitives just watching.
Another group that I've enjoyed watching, and I've tried, you've kind of told us, here's the way I watch, and I'll watch one particular guy, one particular position group. I've had a good time watching the Titans cornerbacks, and I know you got to be deep in this league at that position, and they do seem to have acquired not only a bunch of talented guys, Coach, but a bunch of guys who can do multiple things, but a bunch of guys who have, like, strong skill sets in different areas.
But you know who keeps showing up? And again, as I said, keep in mind what I said when we first started, and I know we all three agree on this, the shadow boxing aspect of what this part is as compared to what's going to happen once training camp opens. But the guys that just keep showing up making plays, I'll tell you who, McCurry keeps showing up making plays, right?
Sure did
he
today.
He shows up around the ball. And I tell you who else shows up around the ball, and he has since he got in here last year about the middle of the season, is Buster Screen. He just keeps showing up. Some guys just have an ability. You're sitting there with a guy that had the ability to find the ball. That was one of Blaine Bishop's biggest attributes. Other than the fact that he was smart as hell, he could find the football. No matter what was going on, he was around the football. And that's what these, just watching those guys again today and knowing that they're not going, full through contact, full through this. And so, yeah, I like watching them. And I like, the fact that they've got their group pretty much back there working together, which besides the offensive line is the biggest number of players that have to work in sync with one another. So I agree with you. I enjoyed watching that group.
Yes, sir. McCreary had him a nice PBU in the end zone and lower red
that's
zone. Worked it.
guy.
Oh, he did. He punched it right out.
Utility right there.
He
Whatever
did.
you need, something go happen. Hey, Screen can play there. He can play. He good. Yeah, he can play.
Hey, and I was impressed with him. I remember vetting him coming out of Chattanooga, but he's had a nice career. But the thing that impressed me about him, and again, we didn't start off to talk about him, but I will, is when he came in here as a vet, I mean, that guy was dialed in from day one, trying to learn this defense. And then, I mean, he was a big help. I mean, I'm glad they re-signed him.
Just think he was out there with Cromartie and Mr. Island himself, Mr. Revis.
Yeah, he told us.
Screen.
He told us, Coach, he goes, I was an outside guy. They put me inside because who else was on the team? But he said, I can do both. And we saw it.
Yeah.
Well, and he's proven it. Look, you've got to ask Blaine. He's sitting right there with you. You got to prove yourself every year in this league. Every year.
Every year.
It doesn't matter what you've done the year before, and it sure doesn't matter what you've done collegiately when you come into this league. You got to prove yourself because this is a very, very at the end of the day, this is a very competitive profession, very competitive. And so if you to stay in it for any length of time, if you have somebody that stayed in it for a length of time and has been a serious contributor, then you know that their competitive nature is at the top, and that's what you have to have.
Well, Coach, I know we don't ask a lot about him, and everybody's talking about all the other players at his position.
Right.
But he ended, in a man, I guess, bad note with throwing 3 picks. But it looks like Tannehill, to me, looks like his 2-year-ago form. Just even getting acclimated with the new players, he just seems like he's a lot sharper at this point in time compared to last year.
You know what? I think he and Derrick Henry both, I think, have alluded to the fact that because that playoff loss was crushing, and they both were crushed by it, as this team was, the franchise was. But they worked through it, and by working through it, then they come back. I mean, you asked me how Derrick Henry looked today. I mean, he looked like Derrick Henry, all right? But Tannehill, I agree with you. All he did when he showed back up here was just go back to work. But there was a purge time that I think everybody involved had to go through because, I mean, it's a scar that has healed over, but it's always going to be there to remind you, I don't want to get scarred again. But I agree with you. He's been out there, and he's done a nice job, too, of helping Malik Willis. He really has. I mean, that group, is working. And again, Malik Willis, we're talking about quarterbacks. You're talking about Tannehill. They're working really well together. I like the development of what I'm seeing at Willis. He's still throwing a lot of fastballs when he needs to learn to throw a changeup, but you can see him just absorbing it. And I think, Ryan Tannehill's helping him a lot.
Yeah, well, Malik Willis, I know Mickey was out there. He was saying that, sometimes he throws that rocket launcher fastball like Brett Favre, and then sometimes
No. Wait, not sometimes.
Well, my bad. Right. He did say that. He said all the time. But he
just gets it there in a hurry every time, Coach.
Yeah, and you can see him, very patient. Everybody's very patient, saying, "Look, you got to put a little time." But you start comparing something to Brett Favre. Now, Brett Favre. Guys, I've had a lot of experience in this league defending guys, quarterbacks. I mean, I can go all the way back. I go all the way back to Montana. But Brett Favre probably threw the most vicious piss missile of any quarterback I've ever been around.
Vicious piss missiles, Coach. That's how we're going to end it today.
That is it.
I can remember Keith Bullock coming off the field going, Mac, I knew he was going to throw. I had no time to react. So he said, Mac, I heard it. I didn't see it. I heard it.
Always fun to end with some story time with Coach Mack. Hey, Coach, we'll see you out there again tomorrow. We'll be sweating together.
Blaine, get your air conditioner fixed, man.
I'm hoping so, man.
He's in his window
that's
waiting
probably
for the tech
why
right
I'm a
now.
little agitated today. They get my proper rest, man. I get my proper rest.
I got a lot of extra rooms over here. I got AC. Come on over.
Oh,
there you go.
Watch out now. You open the door, man.
Summer camp with Coach Mack. All right, well, we come back. Thank you, Coach.
Yes, see you.
Coach Dave McGinnis. Hassan Haskins is 6'2" and 220. What did he say about the size of Derrick Henry? You have to hear this next. I'm in here running routes for. Sorry about that. Look, y'all got music playing, and it's time for you guys to start talking. I'm in here running routes for Blaine. I'm showing him some plays today. I hope that was on Zone TV because people got to see these moves that I got.
I know, man. I think you should go on out there. Try your luck at it.
You think I got moves like Hunter Renfrow, where he gets to like the third move on a guy? Third move. You remember talking about he got paid. I was watching some videos and he's like,
watch this. I see you as a one move guy.
It just like trip and fall straight into the ground.
No. I just see
one
you as
move, huh?
I'm gonna give you and I'm out. I ain't got time to be shucking ducking around, man. I would actually put myself in that same category. One move guy.
How does a guy make three moves?
Hey, he's got to be really loose in his hips. I mean, he's got to have some strong hamstrings, this herky-jerky stuff, man. You know what I used to do when I see all that herky-jerky stuff and I'm going against a dude? I just run right at him and just throw him all off his herky-jerky. Just bam! Stop all that crap.
Don't you want to just car crash that guy at the line of scrimmage?
And I play him like I'm playing off, and then as soon as he takes off, I'm running right at him and I'm going to blast him. Stop that.
Within your yardage,
especially
right?
within 5 yards. Yeah, especially in the red zone. Oh, that's perfect setup for me. Because then it's going to go past 5 yards, and they're not going to call it.
Why does some knucklehead play off of a guy like that?
Well, because they can't get him. They can't get him, man. I told you the slot is the hardest to play, man. It'd be like, well, I got you this one rep because I know you're going to get me some other reps. So I got to get you this one time, man. Oh, man, I remember Chris Dishman yelling at me, use your feet. Like, uh-oh. I'm in trouble. I got to go to the principal's office.
He seemed emotional. I don't know if I would want him yelling at me.
Yeah, he was. Everybody knew who he was. He would always play to the crowd, everything else. When he tells me to move my feet, because the slot guy kept catching these 5 yard in and out. And I was tackling him. He's like, hey, man, move your feet. Beat him with your feet. Like,
there are some offenses, though.
Something to me, man.
The Titans don't ever seem to run that quick game like that. The death by 1,000 paper
cuts. Well, they
cuts.
did with Humphreys. They did a little bit with Ferkser 2 years ago.
Yep. A little.
Mm-hmm.
But like they went up to New England in the playoff game where they lost, where Conklin got hurt, where they went to Kansas City and won, and Mariota threw himself a touchdown pass, and then they went to New England. And New England didn't throw a ball further than like 3 yards in the air that night.
Mm-hmm.
They threw a whole bunch of them to Deion Dang Lewis, who then came here.
Mm-hmm.
But they just threw him, okay, here's 3 yards. He's going to catch it 3 yards down the field and run it 3 more. That's 6 yards. They did that all night. As soon as they started doing that, there was just no answer.
You can't live and die by that, but
sometimes
you gotta have
so.
It can
in your
definitely keep the
repertoire.
train. Yeah, you gotta have it. Got to have that kind of guy too. To be honest, who's in a mismatch, or if it's like Renfro or these guys. That
Could be this guy Phillips. Maybe he's.
Well, I'm not gonna put that on him yet, but
Maybe.
eventually, at some point, 3 years down the road. But yeah, there's guys like that. It's just there's no way to guard them. Yeah.
There's also really big guys, and Derrick Henry is a really big guy. He was back. So Hassan Haskins was leaving the field today, and I know the Channel 4 crew was out there, and a couple of us caught him coming off the field, and I think it was Chris Harris from Channel 4 just asked him, because Coach Mack talked about this, like watching the running backs look at Derrick Henry because they'd never, they hadn't practiced with him yet. So Hassan Haskins gave an assessment of Derrick Henry since this was the first time they'd really been around each other.
He's big. I thought I was pretty big. He's a large guy. So.
How much more impressive is it, like the speed that he can generate being that big?
It's crazy. Like I've never seen him like that. He's so big and so fast. It's ridiculous.
That's Hassan Haskins, who is 6'2", 220, talking about Derrick Henry. Hassan Haskins, 6'2", 220.
Dang.
Like he's full-sized, and he's talking about Derrick Henry like he's from another place, which he is.
Yeah, that don't make no 6'4" running backs, that's for sure. 240, 250, and run that fast. Jeez, that's what I said. He can defy the odds. I wouldn't put it past him. That was like he was taking a break last year. It's like, dang man, I ain't even had no season. That's what it felt like to his body and to his mind. I bet you.
He looked refreshed today. He looked like, even Coach Mack said, gosh, he looked. What did he say? He looked big.
Mm-hmm.
He
What
looked
did
like
I say? This was going to get him back to where everybody else with those carries, and he's going to look like he's a fresh new young pup. Yeah, because he's used to that kind of carrying. Maybe not quite as much as they was giving him, but he hadn't made it through the season, so it was only like 6 games in.
He played 9 games.
Right. So the last game was a playoff game. You counting that one or no?
Well, he played 9, then he came back and played number 10 in the playoffs.
Oh, okay, he played 9 games. Okay.
So he played 9 regular season games. Then he didn't play for what?
8 weeks? 10 weeks?
9 and 8 is 17. So, well, they had a bye week too, so he missed that too. So he missed all that time he played in the playoffs, and
that's why I said you're gonna be rusty. It's impossible.
And he was rusty.
Did y'all watch Michael Jordan after he came back from a year off? Rusty. He was not the same MJ.
And the same MJ showed up after that, though, when the rust wore off, and he had him 3 more rings.
There you have it.
So,
and I expect that out of the king.
Rings and kings.
Oh, that sounds good, man. You think they'd give us one for going over to their practice? They said, nah, Blaine, your air condition went out. You didn't go to practice.
You'll be there tomorrow.
I'm going to say, well, my allergies acted up.
Well, we'll go tomorrow. We'll tell you who's there and who isn't. 3HL's coming up next. They'll tell you everything they know about Titans practice today. By the way, Derrick said Titans signed veteran wide receiver Mickey Ryan. Break it right there.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
In the meantime.
In between time. Peace. I got practice.